Bison are an amazing animal. They can run as fast as a horse, but they can change directions faster.
They're a great animal to raise. They're good for the land. They're good to eat.
Throughout history. The current one we have is bison. And at one time the numbers were estimated in North America at more than 60 million animals. In less than 400 years they were down to less than 600. Buffalo are actually old world animals. When the Europeans came to North America and they saw the bison, the only animals they could really equate it with were the Cape buffalo of Africa and the water buffalo of Asia. So that's how the term buffalo got applied to bison. Well, the bison temperament can be a little nasty, particularly when the bulls are in the rut in August and September. And of course when the mothers have the baby, which we saw our first calf this week. So it's a time then where you got to kind of give them some breaks. They do give you some cues to look out for. If the tail starts to go up, they're starting to get a little agitated. Pawing the ground is another thing. If the tail goes up and they defecate, that's another sign that they're really starting to get agitated. And one thing that we like to tell people is if you come across the bison, you want to stay at least 100 yards away from it. Because this is an animal that can run as fast as a horse, but also has horns and sharp hooves in addition to it. Their fur, it has a very woolly, dense fur on the underneath. It's very soft. Of course, up here, this is pretty wiry. You know, it's pretty coarse. But the Native Americans and the pioneers, they would weave with it. It was soft enough they could weave with it. And also the time of year. When they've got their full winter coat on is when it's the softest and best insulation. One thing about the bison fur, it's so good at keeping their body heat in that when it snows, the snow just lays on their back because their body heat's not escaping to melt it off. So it's a really good insulator. Now, as we go into spring and summer, they start shedding that woolly coat, and you'll see where about the back third of them is really slick and almost looks like it doesn't have any fur on it at all. One of the things about the bison is they have this pretty distinctive looking hump. You can see this back there. This is what their vertebrae looks like back towards their rear end. And this is one of the vertebrae where that hump is. So you see the huge difference in the size of them. And then these are gradually shorter till they get down on either side of it. But this gives them a lot of muscle mass on the forward third of their body, which moves their center of gravity forward so they can change direction a lot faster.
Bison, the latifrons and antiquus were in prehistoric times. They've found skeletal remains, and they're much larger. They were much larger then than they are now. There was a smaller buffalo buffalo that was a mountain bison, and it's extinct. The bison you see here are the plains bison. They're bison. Bison is the genus, species. The woods bison still exist. They're a little larger they're further north in North America, Canada, Alaska. You'll find a few of them in the United States. But this is the bison that's been around here for tens of thousands of years. And they've adapted to this plains area, the grass, the 5 grasses that were predominant throughout the plains states. Lifespan of a bison is 25 to 35 years. Depends on how good a life they've had and the genetics of the individual bison. But usually they'll reproduce, the females will, for 25 to 30 years. They'll live beyond their reproduction for a few more years. The males usually don't get to live that long. They're the prime meat animal. They're raised mostly for meat. They're raised till about 30 months of age, and then they're slaughtered. The herd bulls will stay around for maybe 6 to 12 years. Once they get to be older, they're not as productive, and a younger bull may do a better job. They would live on, but they're usually living in a more solitary type situation. They really don't mingle with the herd much. They stay off out to the edge of the herd. But they'll be fairly close to where they can have sight of their herd. But if they get too close, then the dominant male, which is younger, will come out and challenge, and they usually put up a fight. Younger ones have so much more stamina. Bison, they will succumb to just about any illness that a beef will. Today, they do pretty well. There's just 2 or 3 they don't have any tolerance for. The worst is probably known as malignant catarrhal fever virus. It's a herpes-like virus. We're working on a vaccine. We've been working on it for over 10 years now. And it's shed from young lambs. Sheep carry that. Almost all sheep have it. And it's shed through the respiratory system of young lambs between the ages of 3 months and 8 months. And if they are upwind of buffalo, within a mile or 2, the buffalo will get it. It'll kill the entire herd within a year. There's some other respiratory problems that they have from eating fescue. Sometimes there's an endophyte that invades the fescue that suppresses the circulatory system in bison. And so you need to give them other types of feed. The size of the bison horn varies between the male and the female. When they're young, they have little horn buds, and they're maybe an inch long when they're born. And then as they start getting some age on them, you start noticing a difference. The male bison horn is larger in diameter, especially at the base of the horn where it meets the skull. And it sticks out almost straight for the first 8 to 12 months of its age. Female horn is smaller in diameter. It's probably sometimes half the diameter of the male horn, especially when they're the first 2 or 3 years of age. It has more of a curve to it. It looks more feminine and petite. As the bison ages, the female horn curves in to where the horn tips are pointing towards each other, and the male horn continues to grow out and then goes straight up until it's about 2 years old, and then they start curving in just a little bit at the tip. processing of bison is usually done with a 24 to 30 month old male buffalo. What you're looking for is an animal that is around 1,100 pounds. You'll gather the bison in, usually bait them with some cubes to get them into a corral, a confined area, and then you'll load them into a vehicle and haul them off to a facility to be processed. I'll unload the bison at that facility, and they'll usually have some rest time at the facility, and then they're run into the processing plant. They're shot behind the ear, and then their jugular is cut, and they're hung up by the hind feet and bled out. And then they cut the head off and the feet off. They gut the animal, and then they take the carcass and lay it down. And it's on a framework where they can skin it, and then they hang it back up, and then they saw it in half. They weigh it, and then they put it into a cooler where it's cooled for about 2 weeks and aged. And then I'll send a cutting order in to tell the processor how I want the bison cut up. So they'll package it, and I have all mine flash frozen after they package it, and then I go pick it up and I distribute it to my retailers.
Bison left that are considered in the wild. There's about 500,000 bison left, period. That's about what the population is now.
The flavor? Well, it's a red meat. It's if you like to eat red meat, you probably will like to eat bison meat. It's nutritious. It has more potassium than 3 ounces of bison than there is in a banana. A lot of protein, a lot of iron. Nutrition-wise, it's probably one of the most nutritional values you get in meat. They're a wonderful animal to watch. They're an icon of North America. You see it on the state seal of the state of Kansas. They're very much an indigenous species that's really particular to our continent, and they're a great animal to raise. They're good for the land. I've really enjoyed raising them, and they're good to eat.
Bison are an amazing animal. A lot of people think they're just these big lumbering beasts, but actually they can be very quick, and they're a lot of fun to watch, and I really enjoy seeing them.